Let's take a look at this policy engine, what happens within Echoworx. And so this slide here, we're going to take a look at all the encryption types, all the encryption capabilities in there. And we look at that in sort of three fundamental pools, right? We talk about direct. So this is basically like certificate-based encryption, where we're encrypting the content between ourselves and directly to the end recipient, right? And then the second area is what we call push. So this is similar in the sense that we're pushing content to the recipient, but we're not using certificate-based encryption. We're asking the user to register with the service and delivering it. And then the third area is what we call pull or portal. This is where we're bringing the user back into the portal. Under direct, we have three fundamental delivery types: TLS, PGP, and S-MIME. All three represent basically certificate-based encryptions. They're all industry standards that have been around for quite some time. Under TLS, basically we do what I call enforced opportunistic TLS. This is where we determine whether TLS is available, and then we enforce that delivery over TLS. If TLS is not available, then we can do a fallback. We can fall back to an alternate delivery channel, such as portal or push technology. This gives the customer a lot of options in terms of leveraging TLS. If they have a certain data classification that allows them to deliver over TLS, it's the best user experience, right? It delivers it directly to the inbox, but the channel itself is encrypted. And if it's unavailable, we can fall back to a more traditional encryption channel such as portal so that it's delivered. Under PGP and S-MIME, these are very specific B2B kind of requirements typically, where you have to do a certificate-based delivery. They can be very complicated because you have to use public certificates. You need to be able to look them up in a public directory. You need to be able to generate certificates for the sender or use a sender certificate to sign. Echoworx does this very elegantly and provides that ability to meet those unique business cases. So let's talk a little bit about push. Push technology is really this ability to push content directly to the end recipient. So this is where the requirement may be for you as either from a policy perspective or security posture that you want content to be permanently delivered to the recipient. And underneath there, we have sort of two fundamental views of what push technology is. In the one mode, we call full PDF. And really what this means is that we're encrypting the body of the message, we're rendering the body of the original email into a PDF, and then encrypting each of the attachments in place. And what that means is both the body of the message is protected and each attachment is encrypted as it's delivered to the recipient. In the second mode is really what we call attachment only. Sometimes people refer this as statement delivery. This is where we're more concerned not about the body of the message. In other words, we're sending here's your statement for the last quarter or last week or last month, whatever. But the attachment itself is the more important thing because it contains sensitive information. In attachment only, we essentially encrypt the attachments. Echoworx actually provides a direct file encryption for the following standards: a PDF, Office documents, and zip files, because each one of those particular file types support AES 256 encryption natively. And what's key about that means that the recipient, if they receive those messages or those attachments in those native encrypted formats, they don't require any special software to download. Any PDF viewer will display a PDF that's encrypted that way. Any Office application will display that, no problem. Any zip client will display that natively. So that means that this push technology doesn't require any specific software and will work on mobile as well as desktop. Pull is a more ubiquitous or consistent way that any encryption platform will probably offer as a delivery. It's sort of the thing that will always work for every recipient, right? Everybody knows how to access a portal. Everybody knows how to log in. But Echoworx does this in a very special way. We sort of have two fundamental ways of looking at portal. We have what's called a portal user and a portal message level. So under portal user, we're authenticating the user to the portal. That means once we've authenticated the individual to the portal, they have what's considered an inbox, and in that inbox, they can reply to multiple messages and deliver it. So it's a more traditional sort of web inbox functionality. On a per message basis, we change the security posture from a user authentication to a user message authentication, more like a challenge response. So for the user to access that message, they need to be able to authenticate to that specific message. They're going to read the message in the portal, but they're only going to be able to read that particular message. They're not having an inbox concept. We have different type of authentication options for user authentication, and we have actually 4 kinds of authentications for a per message level. And this gives you that diversity now to use portal in different ways. Again, if we stitch back the concept of Echoworx encryption policy engine, that encryption policy engine then can layer in which delivery mechanism is appropriate based on the security posture of that particular message.